Now we're talking.
Chris, delighted to have you on the podcast, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And it's cool to interview a fellow Chris too, you know. I was curious, is it Christian or Christopher?
It's Christopher. Yeah, how about you?
I'm Christian.
Okay, there we go.
And just a question I usually like to ask off the bat is what are you listening to these days?
Ooh, yeah. Um, Listening to a decent amount of Big Thief. They just dropped their new album. But I've just been like a pretty big fan of them over the years. Big Thief, uh, Night Moves also dropped a new album recently that's been sweet. Heather, um, Bay Ledges. Alex G, Goon, Small Forward. Like I don't know, been a lot of really good releases this year.
Dude, Heather, man, I'm so excited for their new stuff coming out.
Yeah, it sounds sick.
What's an early musical memory that you're fond of?
Good question. I don't know. I feel like there's a few drives to my grandparents' house with my parents, like sitting in the back seat, just listening to the radio and hearing all the like radio hits back in the like late 90s, early 2000s. And then I don't know, I guess like fond memories of just learning to actually care about music as you kind of like transition into like like middle school and high school, getting music recommendations from my older brother, and then eventually sort of like figuring out my own music taste and like coming into like the indie, like folk, like alternative music that was coming out in like high school, and like Fleet Foxes and Fruit Bats and like MGMT and um Toro y Moi and all of that stuff. I don't know, just like fond memory of like growing to care more and more over the years and finding more and more cool bands, and like yeah, I guess that
You're the first guy that I've interviewed that brings up Fruit Bats. That's a very important band for me in high school years as well.
oh no way. Core inspiration for me too. It's just like folk, but like the more like he like touches on the more poppy side of that too at times, and like got the layered acoustic guitars, and yeah, just one of the bands that I was listening to around, and then still listen to, but around the time that I started making music. So they're definitely an influence on what I do, even though it doesn't always show. But yeah,
For sure. Yeah, when I first started getting into music as well, they I've always been drawn to folk music and like garage rock type of music too. So uh I remember at one point I was so into those two genres that when I was in my like, crappy high school band, I thought, what if you combine both and make like garage folk?
yeah, that's sick. I feel like you kind of see sort of more of that sort of coming out. Like there is like grunge folk out there that like touches on the more lo-fi side, and it's a really cool combination of music. Yeah.
Also, did you play in any other bands during your younger days or?
Um, no, not really. Like in my younger years, I took music lessons. Um, Like I took piano lessons when I was younger and I took like bass lessons when I was younger. And during that period of time, they had this like program at the music lesson place where they like paired you with some other people who were learning instruments and like made you play in a band. But I don't necessarily count that as like a like that wasn't me like properly joining a band or starting anything. It was just like doing it because my parents signed me up for it type thing. Um, but no, it wasn't until like I played those instruments all through my life and kept with them even after I stopped the lessons and stuff. But it wasn't until like I graduated high school and started college that I started working on music myself and recording and producing. And it was all just solo stuff. And I guess always has been with the Jaguar Sun project. But the earliest point I started playing in a like proper band was joining my friend Jesse's project for a couple live shows in my like mid 20s. And then from there, like it expanded to me playing the Jaguar Sun music live and building a band out there. And yeah, but I never had a high
Okay.
school band.
This Empty Town turned 5 this year, and I read somewhere that you released it during, uh like graduating from college. But what else comes to mind when you reflect on that time period?
I guess it was a lot of just uncertainty. Like I graduated college, started working full time as a graphic designer at this like tech company. Went through like a pretty big breakup at the exact same time. Didn't really know what I wanted to do or where I wanted to be. Still living with my parents. But the whole time I was working on these songs behind the scenes. And um, kind of as soon as I released the first Jaguar Sun EP, it just through it being shared organically kind of caught some legs and was enough of a sign that like I could really take it seriously. So it's just a really big period of like flux where I'd like started this job. I was there for a year, but then the music started doing well enough that I was like, I need to put more time into that. Left the job. Everything was just changing so like rapidly. Um, so I don't know. It was just a felt like a pretty wild time in my life where I was just for the first time sort of really pursuing what I truly cared about and I don't know, just kind of dove off the deep end to do it.
Well, it worked out for, I'd say, and it's yeah, it is. I bet it is scary, when when faced with things like that, but glad you took that leap of faith.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely like a bit nerve-wracking, but thankfully like I have really like supportive parents and friends and family and like never really like second guessed me for like leaving the design job and everything and going back to like part-time work and putting like the majority of my time into music. Like it always felt like there was a support network behind what I was doing, which I'm super thankful for.
For sure. Yeah, it is important to have like a good safety net when, pursuing your passion, and to kind of know like, oh, well, if this doesn't work out, at least that's there.
Yeah, like I could always fall back. I mean, the further and further away I get from like having that full-time design job, I feel like I've been out of the industry for like 6 or 7 years now. So I feel like the longer I'm out of it, the harder it would be to go back to it if music ever doesn't really pan out. But I'm just gonna keep chasing this and see what happens.
Do you still dabble in like graphic design here and there?
I do for like any of the stuff that I release. Like I design all the cover art and all the merch that we sell at shows and like tour posters and the website and all that stuff. So I at least like keep active with it, but it's all for like my own purposes, I guess.
No,
Yeah,
well, at least I mean, who else knows you better than yourself, you know?
it's
So,
true. Yeah.
and all we've ever known came out in June of 2022, which is, you know, post COVID. How did it feel to return somewhat back to normality, like music wise, in the sense of, you know, being able to play shows and go on tour to support the release?
I feel like it was a pretty big adjustment to like I'm a really big homebody and a fairly big introvert. So I was almost like to some degree like thriving in the lockdown period where I was like, okay, like this is just an excuse to like hunker down and work on music and just be in my own zone. And then as soon as like the restrictions started lifting coming out of the pandemic, like then the questions of like forming a band started coming into play, like giving playing music live a proper shot, even though it was something I was really scared of doing. And like all of that kind of came flooding back in a pretty rapid way. And, it was pretty overwhelming. But I don't know, growing to like learn how to play live, learn to play these songs with others and my friends, and like going out on our first tours, like as nerve-wracking as those things were, and they still stress me out. It's been a really fulfilling thing being able to play these songs to people who care about the music and to go out and meet the people who listen and just be up there with my friends playing music. It's a special thing, and I'm glad I've got the chance to do it kind of through the pandemic. Like the music grew enough that we sort of had a foundation to be able to go out and play the music live. So as soon as things open, we kind of just hit the ground running.
Hell yeah. And well, there's only like 3 months left of 2025. So what's a highlight of the year for you?
Cool. I feel like the highlight for me is just working on the music that I have in behind the scenes. Um, we didn't play any shows over the summer, and I've kind of just hunkered down and started working on the next album again. Um, no release date or anything set like that, but just I'm really proud of the new batch of songs that I've got in the works, and I can't wait to share them. So I guess like the highlight is just, yeah, progressing on the music front, like progressing with my music production and mixing and all of that. I feel like I've grown quite a bit there this year.
And with these new songs, are you, you know, still hunkering down on all of them yourself, or have you brought in your buddies to play on them?
With this one, it's largely just myself. I feel like over the last year and a half, like I did a few collabs, um, and have another little collab thing coming out this fall as well. That'll be announced pretty soon. But I kind of looked at this album as another excuse for me to sort of get back into my own zone and do something by myself again, and just kind of take full creative control over these batch of songs. So, um, yeah, it was kind of me going back to like just myself again and making music.
I was curious, when I you know, Googled your band, I saw that there was a restaurant in Florida with the same name. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, they've been my like I think they closed down now though, so I have no more competition. I was pretty grateful to see that. We were like competing for SEO, like when you Google Jaguar Sun, like I think it depends on what you look up, but like for some people the restaurant would show up first. For some people I would show up first. And I was like, oh man. I should have tried to like bridge the gap though. Maybe we could have played a show there.
That would have been sick. Jaguar Sun at Jaguar Sun.
Yeah. We never made contact with each other though. I don't know if they ever knew that I was out there or existed, but I knew they existed.
And this next question is kind of a shot in the dark, but when I first came across your music, it was it was actually on YouTube, and your song came on after I was listening to one of my favorite folk artists, and then your song came up on the queue after, so I was like, oh, okay, like damn, what is this? It sounded so good. But the artist is called A Bondi. Have you heard of that guy?
Oh, it sounds super familiar, but I don't think I've listened.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Bon.
Um, yeah, you showed up after his song, and like I said, it just, you know, it was a pleasant surprise, and yeah, I was just curious, like you know, because you do have some folk elements in your music as well. I just wanted to see. I do recommend that guy, by the way. He's really good. His early stuff is the more folk stuff. It's like Bob Dylan type of stuff, I'd say. But he gets kind of weird in his later stuff.
I was just looking at his profile. I don't know what song I've heard off this album, but I've definitely heard at least one song off the American Hearts album. I remember
Yeah,
that cover art. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, go back and listen to him.
that's his most folk album, I'd say. It's very like solo acoustic.
Right. Yeah. I'll give him a listen after this.
What's what's the most important message or feeling that you want to convey through your music?
I feel like a lot of the music sort of has this theme of sort of like finding yourself and working your way through hard times in life or moments where you feel stuck. If there was like a common theme, I think that would be the most common amongst my songs. So maybe just like I don't know if it's a message per se, but just writing music that can sort of meet people in those places and just be helpful through those times. I feel like the most like rewarding thing from like starting this project is just getting those messages from people where they say like this album helped them through a hard time in their life or this song like got them through a few hard moments that they were going through. Um, so yeah, I feel like I don't know, just being able to help someone get through a tough time and understand that there's something better on the other side of that. It keeps coming back to that the most.
Yeah, and it's crazy how music has that power. I still trip out about that like a song can mean so much to people, and an album uh can take people away too from certain situations, and all in the span of like 30 minutes to like an hour, you kind of just forget about everything.
Yeah, totally. I think everyone has sort of those albums or songs that kind of like carry them through pivotal moments in their life. And you'll always kind of like look back at that album or that song and remember that specific moment.
For You came out last year, and this one uh I I kind of find it more folky, acoustic driven, and I was wondering, can you share some memories from making that record?
Yeah, I I sort of like view that EP as like a transition sort of into like or not a transition, but just getting closer and closer to like a sound that I really want to create. I feel like this whole project, like up until this point, has been, even though everything sort of feels like consistent to a degree, has been me just really like trying to hone in on what I'm making, what I like to listen to, what I want to hear from my like self as like a writer and a producer. And I feel like for you tapping into the more like folk side of things with the acoustic guitars, but then still like maintaining some of the electronic side of things with the synths that come in and like the more poppy side of things with some of the beats that come in. It just feels like it was like me narrowing in on something that I can like then continue to expand on as I move forward now and like move forward with these new songs that I'm working on for this next album where there's like I feel like that perfect balance of like folk, alternative, pop, um, and then just like little experimental elements that kind of make it feel unique. So yeah, that's I don't know, for you sort of felt like a growth in my production and mixing and then like a foundation for moving forward from there.
How do you overcome writer's block or like creative stagnation when it occurs?
Hmm. I think just staying like just keep experimenting. Like even if it's just getting like a 10-second idea down, like pick up the guitar and just like record a little chord progression and then just keep layering and see where it goes. Like even if you don't feel like you have an idea, it's still worth like opening up Ableton and like recording something or just messing around with synth sounds or just like um layering up some guitars until something cool happens or really any of that. Like you never know what's going to spark some inspiration. And then just listening to music, like always listening to new music that's dropping, like listening to other people's tracks, figuring out what inspires me from their stuff. And it usually gets me motivated enough to go back and do my own thing too. There's just like so much good music constantly dropping.
And well, I saw your Instagram videos and I'm like, man, this guy really does hone in on his craft and probably practices a lot. So um you probably, I'm guessing, like return to some past sketches or like, ideas of yours, and how do you decide when one of those ideas is like finished or fulfilled?
Yeah, that can be pretty challenging. I I feel like for every song you put out, there's like 10 other little ideas that surrounded that didn't make the cut or something, or like just didn't end up feeling right or kind of got lost in the progress. I I don't know. I guess it's just a feeling like you come up with an idea and if you feel passionate about it, you kind of push it through to the end and you just sort of understand when it feels like you've got a fully fledged song idea in front of you. But other times, like all those like little Instagram clips I like post, like some of those will just stay 15-second ideas that never end up seeing the light of day. Beyond that, I guess. But when something clicks, I feel like it's noticeable enough that you know when you've got something worth finishing in front of you. Um, and I think that just comes through time too. Like the more you experiment, the more you write, the more you release, like the more you start to understand like what you're looking for. And it's easier to sift through all your ideas and figure out which ones make the most sense to finish. I don't know, just time and trial and error.
Right. Well said, man. And this last thing I like to do, um, it's a it's kind of like a ranking list, but also um like a dream set list. If I were to catch you live one day and hear these songs during your performance, I'd, you know, be a happy dude. So as I go through them, I was hoping that you could share like a fun fact or like a story uh, that comes to mind.
Yeah, yeah, I'll try.
Number 10, I went with Broken Record.
Broken record. That was a that was one that like one of those moments where like you had an old idea like from like 3 years ago and then you dig it up and revive it and turn it into an actual track. I had this like old file on this old DAW that I used to use called Machine. And like the core idea was like the repeating like bass synth that you can hear, like the really steady like synth bass line that goes through the whole track. I just layered up like 5 different synth basses on top of each other and got that sound. And I was like, this is like a ridiculous looking file. Like this is an excessive amount of synthesizers layered on top of each other, just doing the exact same thing. But I love the sound. And then when I was writing and recording that album, I came across that idea again. I was like, oh, I should try something with this. I should try and turn it into an actual track beyond just the synth bass stuff that was going on. Broken Record kind of came from that.
Nice. Number 9 went with Keep You Warm.
Keep you warm. Keep you warm. I mean, just like it's special to me. One of the songs that really like allowed that album to catch its wings and grow the project to where it's been. I think it's like my most streamed song still to this day. Um, yeah, just a special moment on that album that I think a lot of other people really connected with as well.
Number 8, Those Days.
Those days. Yeah, I that one was like kind of just born out of like the trips and stuff that I would take with my friends in like high school, like back before you had like responsibilities and things weighing on you. Just like every day you'd go and drive out of this town that we lived in and just try to go on adventures wherever we could. So that just writing that song is kind of reflecting on those moments where we'd go and explore like all the time. It's good moments.
Number 7, One Day.
One day. Ooh. I feel like one day was another one of those sort of like foundational moments for like writing and recording all we've ever known. Like even just from like a production standpoint, like I just figuring out new chord progressions on the guitar, getting the acoustic in there, but pairing it with those like really jangly drum beats and stuff. Like it just helped me like shape the sound for that record, I feel. Yeah.
Number 6, Don't Stress.
Don't Stress is like up until this point, maybe one of my favorite songs that I've released from like a writing and production mixing standpoint. I kind of wish it caught more legs than it did. I feel like it's a sleeper in the discography. It was I mean, For You was largely written about like our time touring and sort of my like struggles with it. Um, being a homebody and everything, getting out on the road for like a month at a time can be pretty challenging and just rapid pace going from city to city. Like there's so much being like thrown at you and it's hard to take it in. But I Don't Stress was just kind of reflecting on that and trying to stay calm amidst the stresses of touring.
Mm.
Don't stress about it too much.
Would you say that that's what makes it special for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that another reason why that EP is special beyond it just being a sonically like foundational thing for where I've been steering the project, but it's just I feel like a honest reflection on my struggles touring, and I'm sure a lot of other artists and stuff can sort of connect with that.
Yeah, I bet touring in this current state in, the music industry could be pretty daunting, but um are there like dream venues, cities, or like places that you would like to tour one day?
Mhm. I think like I don't know. I don't know if there are dream venues. Like there are like core ones, like places that would be sweet to play someday, and like in Toronto even, just to get big enough to play a venue like History, where like you got all the big players like Turnstile, Alex G, like those size bands coming through and playing that venue. So being able to just be like at that level someday would be surreal. We've done one tour in Europe so far, and I would love to tour there some more too. Like Europe is a really special place to be on tour, and I'm excited to relive that someday. But even just getting to where we've been, like just the fact that we've played through all these states in the like in the US and have done like the full ring around North America and have played as many shows as we have, it's beyond surreal to me. Like I would have never dreamt that when I started this project, and even just hitting this point is special. So uh if this is the furthest we made, I'd be happy.
What's a standout state that you toured in the States?
I think a standout state could be Colorado, even because I feel like when you're like cutting across from like the East Coast to the West, that's where things really start to change. And you're like, whoa, like we're not in like the Midwest anymore. Like there's mountains and desert, and like sort of feels like this turning point on a tour where you're like, we're really out here. Like we're really far from home now. Total landscape change. Like it really sinks in once you pass Colorado and keep making your way
Mhm.
out west. But then being on the West Coast too, like California is so beautiful. It's like it's hard to beat. Portland's beautiful. Yeah, but Colorado's sort of always been that point where we get out that far and I'm like, whoa, this is a different place entirely.
Well received too, I'm guessing.
We have had good shows there, yeah. Yeah, our last one was at a venue called Meow Wolf, which is a really crazy, funky venue to play. They have this crazy art exhibit, and then the venue itself is cool too.
Awesome. Number five, Take It Back.
Take it back. I feel like that was another really like underrated one off all we've ever known. Not a lot of people bring that one up. Um, I think Take It Back was like another example of like just getting song ideas from experimenting and messing around sonically first. Like I'd come up with like some of the weird layered like guitar parts that are like in the track first, and like kind of built everything around that, and eventually just felt like it clicked and it was like this is a song worth finishing, and wrote the lyrics and everything. But just another one of the songs that were kind of, yeah, birthed from experimenting with music, instrumentation first, and came through.
Number four went with Stuck.
Stuck. Also underrated, I feel. All these ones are like the ones that not a lot of people talk about. I really like Stuck. Um, I love the chord progression, and I love the like Jesse, our lead guitarist in the live band. He recorded the really crazy, like huge guitar solo at the end. Um, so just like a cool example of the two of us getting together and figuring something out through like collaboration as well.
You know, with you saying that these are all underrated, it makes me curious now. Like, have you played these live before?
Um, we played Stuck on one tour. We've never played Take It Back. We play Don't Stress. Like that's kind of like a mainstay in the set list now. Um, but it's a mix. Like sometimes like it feels like we shouldn't go and learn those songs because they are underrated, but then other times I want to play them to try and like share them more and get them like a bit more. Like when we played Stuck, like not it didn't, even though it's a bit more underrated, like it felt worth playing because it just felt like a cool song to play with the band. They don't necessarily stay in the set list. They're not like the mainstay popular tracks that people like always want to hear, but it's fun to try them at least.
It's interesting you bring that up. Like it makes me wonder like how do you go about crafting a set list?
I try to make it like a healthy balance of like what is popular and what you kind of know people would want to hear. You can, I don't know, like I kind of use like the top 10 tracks on like Spotify or Apple Music as sort of a reference point for like what people are streaming the most. So you know like songs like Forever and More, um, Make It Out even, or like Red, like are kind of like mainstay songs that people really like to hear. And like you can see people singing those songs out in the crowd when you play them. Like people know the lyrics, people know the tracks. So I like to like sprinkle in just enough of those, and then the rest kind of just play off of what sonically works and what I think is cool and the songs that I just personally like to play really like, and songs that the band really likes to play. So you get like just the like 4 or 5 songs that you know like you kind of should put in the set list, and then the rest is fair game to do what's fun to you. Um, and just songs that I think are worth playing, I think are worth people discovering as well.
Totally. Is Forever uh like a standalone track or I couldn't see it like oh okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Forevermore was like there was a series of like 3 or 4 singles that I had dropped shortly after my first EP, and Forevermore was one of those.
Got it. And number three is Next Year.
Next year is like a real favorite of mine off This Empty Town, the closing track. Like I feel like everything just aligned when I was writing and recording that. From like the like weird guitar layers that are like looped through the beginning of the track to like the chord change that happens halfway through, and like I don't know, it just felt so smooth working on that song from start to finish. And I feel it's just like a real shotgun blast of like summer nostalgic memories from like, like late high school days, early college years, that I look like back on really fondly. And I feel like it just kind of encapsulates all of that in one song.
I agree. Yeah, it was definitely a great closer to an already, epic album.
Thank you.
Number two is Moonlight.
I really like Moonlight too. I feels just like this soft, calm moment on All We've Ever Known. Just like the also sort of felt like a moment where I was kind of tapping into maybe more of the like fruit bat inspiration, like Fur Trader, like just the layered acoustic guitars that kind of ground everything, piano notes that strike like the bass line. Um, and then just like resonated with me lyrically at the time too, just kind of like a feeling of falling out of a relationship and still like missing those times and holding on to them in a way, I guess.
And number one is Messed Up.
Oh, messed up. The intro to All We've Ever Known. Oh no, no,
Is
no, 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 not no, messed up off This Empty Town.
yeah.
I
It's
really
it's
like that.
actually the intro to your it's my intro to your music.
Oh no way, that's the song that came on.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's I don't know, just like a core part of This Empty Town, I feel. Sorry. It's Boris. He barks at anything. It's like,
Boris.
Boris. Um,
What? I'm sorry. What kind of breed is that? I'm not good at dog breeds.
he's Boris. He's a Eurasier, so he's like a mix of a Chow, a Samoyed, and a Keyshawn. Um, but he kind of looks most like a Chow Chow, if anything.
Great
Uh,
looking dog.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Messed Up is a core part of this empty town. Just like a moment of self-reflection lyrically, like in that album, acknowledging like your own faults and the need to get better in a relationship, feeling down. Um, but then like the core theme of a lot of these songs, like moving past that as well. Um, which is something that was like resonating with me a lot when I was writing and recording that album. Because that was kind of like that period of like major flux in my life where I was like leaving the job, left a relationship, figuring myself out, feeling all these ups and downs, feeling messed up. So yeah, I feel like it was just like an accurate depiction of where I was at the time, I guess.
Yeah, man. Well, um, I look forward to, you know, the future of your project and seeing what else you put out.
I mean, I appreciate you having me on here. It's nice chatting about all this stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you for your time and your stories.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Enjoy the rest of your day, Chris. I'll be in touch, man.
sounds good. You too.